It was a moment that no one in the crowded Georgia town hall expected. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. Stacey Abrams, the once celebrated political figure, stood at the podium, her voice echoing with frustration, conviction, and anger. Facing her across the stage was Senator John Kennedy, calm as ever, with that southern drawl and piercing gaze that could cut through any argument like steel through silk. The event began as a standard discussion on election integrity and economic policies, but within minutes, emotions spiraled out of control. Abrams, who had prided herself on being a voice for fairness and equality, grew visibly irritated as Kennedy's questions dug deeper than she expected. "Senator, I think you should get out if you can't respect this platform," she snapped, her voice echoing through the hall. The crowd gasped, half in shock, half in anticipation. But Kennedy didn't flinch. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't even blink. Instead, he took a slow breath, leaned toward the microphone, and said in that calm Louisiana accent, "Ma'am, I didn't come here to fight. I came here to remind you that the truth doesn't need to shout up. It just needs to stand its ground." The silence that followed was almost holy. Cameras zoomed in on Abrams' face, stunned by the unexpected composure and Kennedy's reply. Even his critics couldn't deny it. His words carried weight, not from political power, but from sheer authenticity. As the discussion went on, Kennedy began to speak, and not as a senator, but as a man who'd seen too many Americans divided by fear and anger. He talked about how ordinary people, teachers, nurses, small business owners, were struggling not because of party lines, but because of political pride. He said, "People don't care whether you wear red or blue. They care if you can look them in the eye and tell the truth." Some in the audience began to clap. Slowly, the tension that had filled the room began to melt. Abrams looked shaken, and not because she'd lost an argument, but because she'd realized she was standing opposite someone who refused to play politics. Kennedy wasn't there to embarrass anyone. He was there to speak from the heart. Later, when a journalist asked Kennedy why he didn't respond with anger, he simply smiled and said, "If shouting could fix America, we'd be in paradise by now." But healing starts when someone decides to listen. Those words went viral within hours. Across social media, clips of Kennedy's calm yet powerful reply spread like wildfire. Even people who didn't agree with his politics admitted that there was something undeniably human about the way he handled that moment. As for Abrams, reports later suggested she reached out privately to Kennedy to apologize for the outburst. Whether or not they agreed on policies, they shared a common understanding that leadership is about grace under fire. By the end of that week, Kennedy's words had become more than just a viral sound, but they became a quiet reminder to millions of Americans that strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes, it speaks softly, stands tall, and refuses to back down from what's right. And that's why that day when Stacey Abrams shouted, "Get out!" John Kennedy didn't leave. He stayed, he spoke truth, and he left an entire nation speechless.